Well, first up, the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has landed in Sydney, the last stop of his Asia-Pacific tour, looking to assert India's role as a regional power in the face of China's growing influence. This is the first time Prime Minister Modi is visiting Australia since 2014. While in the country, Prime Minister Modi will hold bilateral talks and meet the Australian business leadership before leaving for India on Wednesday night. The Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi flew into Australia aiming to strengthen economic ties by tapping into his country's fastest growing diaspora. And Indians are the second largest diaspora community in Australia after the British, with over 670,000 Indian-born citizens living in the country of 26 million. And according to the National Chair of the Australia-India Business Council, Australia and India hope to sign a broader economic pact this year after their bilateral ties have expanded beyond resources to areas such as renewable energy and technology. Several Indians in Australia are excited to see Prime Minister Modi in Australia after many years, as they are eagerly waiting for Prime Minister Modi's interaction with them. His Australian trip comes after Prime Minister Modi visited Papua New Guinea. This is the first time an Indian Prime Minister has visited the country. India and the United States are actively seeking to counter Beijing's influence in the Indo-Pacific, and Papua New Guinea has signed a defense pact with the United States. The Defense Cooperation Agreement gives US troops access to Pacific nations' ports and airports as well. And for more on this, we're now being joined by our principal diplomatic correspondent, Siddhant Sibbal from Sydney. And Siddhant, well, let's first focus on the deliverables from this visit. What's the economic framework that these countries are working towards, given that Australia is both an important trade and strategic partner for India in the Indo-Pacific?
Well, we know that India and Australia have substantial economic relationship. Last year, both the countries signed the ECTA Pact, and this year, both the countries are looking forward on the free trade agreement negotiations. In fact, I'm standing at the location where just a short while ago, Indian Foreign Secretary held a briefing in which he talked about and elaborated how both the countries are working together on the economic front, and during this visit there will be a substantial focus on that. Now, we know that the Indian Prime Minister is going to meet several CEOs, Australian CEOs, something that he has done in the past as well. In fact, there is an India-Australia CEOs forum as well. So that shows the interest from the political leadership as well in terms of growing the economic ties between the two countries.
Right, Siddhant. And also, of course, a strong Indian diaspora in Australia. The Prime Minister is, likely to meet him. Events as well lined up. This is a strong community as far as, the economy and business are also concerned.
Well, in terms of the Indian diaspora, we know there is a huge number of the Indian origin and the Indians here in Australia. Now, in a big focus, the Indian Prime Minister will be addressing the diaspora event tomorrow in Australia, in which approximately 20,000 Indians and Indian origin people are expected. Now, it is seen as a testimony to the growing influence of Indians in Australia, and also how the diaspora forms a key living bridge between India and Australia. In fact, just a short while ago, when the Prime Minister arrived in the hotel where he is staying, he was welcomed by the Indian diaspora of all hues and colors, and essentially welcoming him in an enthusiastic way, something we have seen earlier in Japan and Papua New Guinea as well.
Right. Siddhant, thanks very much indeed for joining us with the very latest there on Prime Minister Modi's visit to Sydney.